What's up, you guys? It's VDX. We have the mid-May, the post-EVO Japan patch. This is going to be version 2.01, and there's a lot of hope riding on this patch. I'll give a quick summary in a second, but basically the reason why people are looking forward to this patch so much is because the Season 2 launch was kind of a complete 180 from what we were expecting because of what we were told. Prior to Season 2's launch, the developers mentioned that they recognized that Season 1 was too offensive, and they wanted to take the game in a more defensive direction. When Season 2 dropped, there were some defensive changes, like the sidestep buffs, but we also got nearly every character gaining more plus frames, more homing moves, or more mix-ups. It became so offensive that everybody didn't know if the developers even knew what they were talking about. They said they were going to make the game more defensive, but the Season 2 patch was in the complete opposite direction. So since then, the developers have apologized, which is kind of a big deal for a Japanese development team. And they've also talked about restructuring the balance team to make changes going forward. So why this patch is so, I guess, monumental is to restore the trust with the fan base and the community. There's going to have to be a lot of consistent changes in the right direction. And I think that context helps to explain the way this patch is. Just, I guess, a TLDR, I don't think this patch is like a full repair of the game. I don't think it brings the game all the way back to where it needs to be. But it's undeniably a very, very small step in the correct direction. So I'll give you a quick summary of the entire patch. Obviously, it'll be linked below so you can read in detail for your character. But let's just take a quick look. So changes like the replays being outdated. It's their common disclaimer every time there's a major update. Your ghost data isn't deleted. New stuff in the shop. All right. Also, one thing I actually do want to note is that the Tekken Fight Lounge has 5 characters you can fight for unique fan-made artwork, and I think it's really cool to support actual artists. So fight the ghost data in the Tekken Lounge to get like unique character loading screen art. I think that's actually something really worth noting. Okay, all right, now for the update. Again, just a quick summary. They talk about their philosophy going into this update. I've noted the key facts here in the notes below, so that's just what we'll go through. They talk about nerfing moves with excessive return, whether the reward is disproportionate to the risk or the moves generate consecutive one-sided advantage. Okay, and they do this character by character, and honestly, the changes are a bit small, but again, they're a step in the right direction. They're reducing combo damage across all characters. I think their goal is to homogenize combo damage. I disagree with this approach. I think it's cooler when some characters have higher combo damage and some characters have lower combo damage depending on the tools they have. I think that's a really nuanced thing to implement, and with the priority being fixing Season 2, they are preferring to get everything down to the same level first and then going from there. Again, I disagree with the approach, but I can understand why they're doing it in terms of like prioritizing what to fix. Heat Burst is going to see nerfs across the cast, sort of. So there was a big Heat Burst changed last season around the same time, April or March, and sidesteps were buffed. So in general, most characters have less tracking on their Heat Burst. Some characters still had some egregious heat bursts, like Dragunov and Brian, and they nerfed those characters to bring them in line with the rest of the characters. What I found promising is in the actual patch notes, they talk about enabling more interactive mind games that reward defensive techniques. Those are really pretty words. That's music to my ears. But again, we have to see how the details come out, because they've said things before that didn't come to fruition. But it's promising that they are using these words at least. And then number 4 is chip damage from heat smashes down across the entire cast universally. I don't feel that passionate about this change. I think there are some characters who have egregious chip damage situations, or like charge moves that do a lot of chip damage, or like the bears running 1+2. But chip damage is debatably super overtuned in general, so any change is something. Then they address future adjustments in version 2.02, where they will target the character-specific heat timer moves and do more targeted character tweaks. So, again, this patch is kind of small, but the changes are undebatably good. It's just the degree of them is so minor that it's hard to say that the game is finally in a good state or anything like that. Again, this is just my opinion. If you are a newcomer to the series and you are learning Tekken, these changes probably won't affect you very much. If you're someone who's enjoying Season 2, I don't think this is going to change that necessarily. So don't take this as me being a doomer just for the sake of negativity. I wish I could just say good things about Tekken, but I think it's important that I give my authentic take and let you know where I'm at as someone who takes the game pretty seriously and very competitively. So yeah, the big changes will be the heat burst here. The rest are kind of small quality of life things and bug fixes. Now for the character specific changes, let's go back here. I'm just going to pull it up just so you can see it as we go along, but I'm going to note just the quick changes that I think are relevant. Okay. Real quick, the system changes that I just skipped over. So heat bursts are down, hitboxes are down universally, and the homing duration is down universally. There's a quick backslide change where you're less likely to wake up back turned. Strong aerial spikes. There's a bug fix for back rolling. Apparently, if you held back or used a button, they'd had different behavior. Charge moves. The quick charge bug is fixed, where you could double tap the button and get the full charge instantly. So good thing they fixed that. And then there was a bug where the damage was lower when it went through a power crush. They fixed that as well. And then there was a heat dash bug where you could get the downed behavior, or the heat dash behavior on a downed opponent. That's where you saw, if you saw the basketball bug with Zafina, where you could keep heat dashing her and it was like an infinite. They fixed that. So good stuff there. Character specific changes now. Elisa, she basically just got combo damage down on a bunch of her moves and the chip damage down from Heat Smash. Her Heat Burst was already pretty steppable, so they didn't specifically tune her Heat Burst. When it comes to combo damage down, I think we're going to see a lot more timeouts. I think that's an important thing to note. Anna had some bug fixes and then damage down, specifically on Hammer Chance 1+2. Otherwise, yeah, no big changes. And then back 1+2, there were unintended follow-ups available after you hit this move. They've taken that out. Asuka had her heat burst tracking reduced. So this is a specific change. In addition to the universal change, her heat smash chip damage is down. Again, every character has their chip damage down on heat smash. And then they've done small things like removing the camera effect on some of her moves to make comboing with the character easier. They've removed the scaling, or lowered the scaling on the second hit of her forward 2 1+2. And then they've removed a strong aerial tailspin from forward 3+4. I find that a little surprising, but promising. I think strong aerial tailspins need to be looked at in terms of combo length and wall carry. I currently think that's too strong. I'll probably do a video on that later, but the fact that they're able to remove it here is promising. Azucena. Big change for Azucena is her Heat Smash and Heat Burst. Specifically, her Heat Smash, the third hit was dealing excessively high combo damage if the first hit whiffed in certain situations. So they just normalized that. Her Heat Burst is now easier to step, and her down one has more pushback on block. Notably, her running 3-2 is no longer +5 into stance, but +3 into stance. So again, they're addressing those moves with excessive return, and this is a small step, but a good step in the right direction. I still think there's other things like her full crouch low being +5. That seems pretty egregious to me personally. And I think a ton of characters have plus frame situations that need to be touched, but good steps. Brian, Snake Eyes back 1+2 now always puts him in crouch before you had a choice, and the opponent is always left standing. There's a plus frame reduction, which we're a big fan of, from +7 to +4. Reduced pushback. And the second hit tracking isn't like a scary change because it's only if the first hit connects, if it's on hit or on block. So it's a consistency change. But removing plus frames and keeping the opponent standing means more counterplay. Well, now with the new sidestep, more counterplay is debatable. But yeah, it's a change in the right direction. And then they made his heat burst easier to sidestep. Claudio received no major fixes in my opinion. I think his charge guard break is a very egregious move for that type of character who already has a million ways to wall splat you, including the heat smash low that can break wall hazards, not wall splat, but break the hazards. So I think Claudio needs way more changes, but obviously we just saw Evo Japan. The developers are probably just now seeing how crazy this can be. So for him, it's just the heat burst is easier to sidestep. Heat smash, chip damage down. I didn't type that right. And then up forward 3+4, they tweaked it so that I think you couldn't get like refloat combos in certain situations. So this is, a generally good fix, but again, there's a lot more to look at. Clive, Heat burst, easier to step. Heat smash, less chip. Universal changes, nothing else. I have a lot of opinions about Clive, but I think in general this is fine for how small the patch really is. Devil Jin, they changed the behavior of down forward 1-2 on hit. I recommend checking out Hi Buff Gigas, please, either his Twitter or his YouTube. He tends to cover direct comparisons between the patches. I Am OP also does that, if you don't know those two channels. They changed the plus frames of his charge down back 1+2. It was plus 17. Now it's plus 5. I'm only going to say this once on this channel. On the second channel, I say it a lot. But how did this make it to the live servers? Plus 17 down to plus 5. Step in the right direction, but how did we get here? Less tracking on the charge down back 1+2. And Morning Crow 1+2 is now 0, whereas it was plus 5. And they did this in two ways. They made the recovery for Devil Jin 2 frames slower. And they made the recovery for the opponent 3 frames faster. So it ends up being a 5-frame nerf. Good. Dragonov untouched outside of the heat burst tracking and heat smash chip damage changes. His 12-frame while rising heat dash launcher is still intact. Eddie, heat smash down, heat smash chip damage down, and then his crouch throw had a bug where you would gain a stack of Manjinga sometimes, even though you already activated heat. So good thing they fixed that. Okay, so as you can see, small changes, some plus frame adjustments, not really a lot. Feng Wei, the heat burst, tracking, the heat smash chip. And then his back 4, 3+4 used to be plus 12 and is now plus 7. So a bit of normalization there. And they removed the camera effect. I'm actually a fan of removing more camera effects. I think that too many zooms can be really overwhelming, both for players and for spectators. It's cooler if the zooms happen in really unique situations, right? So I'm glad they removed that. Heihachi, heat smash, the universal chip damage change. The running headbutt is down from plus 8 to plus 6. So minor step in the right direction. Because it goes into stance, this actually does change the options. But again, I think we're giving out a lot of plus frames on new moves, and this should not be the norm. Warrior Instinct, tons of damage nerfs. This probably plays out way more over the course of the entire round, right? But damage down, to me, is not the top priority compared to the plus frame moves, the homing moves, etc. But again, steps in the right direction. Huaron, his heat burst tracking is down. His heat smash chip is down. His right flamingo down forward 4. I said chip damage down. Oh, yeah. There was a 1 damage chip damage buff just to make it in line with the move list text. And then while standing 1-4 had a bug where you couldn't duck the flappy kicks after. Now you can. Noticeably, he still has his homing high crushing low and his right flamingo stance ender that goes plus 4 into left flamingo stance. So I find that pretty alarming, but again, they just put in these moves. They probably don't fully understand why they're so strong, so we'll be waiting for the June patch. Jack 8 hits heat smash chip damage down, and then his full crouch charge move now follows the behavior of other charge moves in that they break strong reversals and strong parries. At first, I thought it was crazy that they even added that. I actually still think it's kind of crazy, but it's in line with the rest of those moves. So if they change this, they'll have to change all the others as well. Jin, there's the heat burst nerf, the tracking nerf, heat smash, chip damage down, and then a couple damage nerfs. Not a lot. Standing 3 is down by 2 damage, and then down forward 2-4, the strong aerial tailspin is down by 1 damage. These are very minor. Yeah. Jun Kazama, same thing. The standard 2 changes, heat smash and heat burst, and then when she has full stacks, she loses 6 damage in her down 1+2. No adjustments to her full screen laser. Kazuya, heat smash, chip damage down by 1. But the up forward 1 homing was removed. So I am honestly surprised that they did that. I never thought that they would remove the homing property on a move. That is extremely promising. On top of that, they changed it from when you do the full string during heat from -7 to -9. And it now jails so the second hit can't clip you if you mash after the first one is blocked. These kinds of changes should be applied to every character. I'm surprised that it happened to Kazuya of all characters. I'm a big fan of it. Homing removed, less frame advantage. This move regens heat, so it's really good. This is really good. I know that people are going to be upset if they play Kazuya, but listen, guys, if they let that rock, then every character player will start complaining about it. It's good that we start somewhere with nerfs, okay? King. Untouched outside of the heat burst and the heat smash. I think there's a lot that needs to be adjusted. They did touch his 3-2-2 slightly, but I think the homing on the throws in heat and the Jaguar sprint moves are really crazy. So a lot to be done still. Kuma and Panda saw a decent amount of changes. There's the heat burst and heat smash ones. Kuma's heat throw, the recovery is increased by 4 frames. Now, I don't know if that means they don't get the guaranteed wall splat anymore, or if it's just on whiff. But it also has less tracking. So it could be that this is a serious nerf, but I don't know. If somebody knows in the chat, please let me know if the throw no longer guarantees the wall splat. Sidestep 1+2 is 3 frames less advantage. So it goes from 0 to -3 if you don't go into stance, and then -6 or +6 to +3 if it does go into stance. So very nice change in reducing like egregious plus frames, okay? The hunting bear stance down forward 1, the hashtag homing, hashtag mid, hashtag safe, hashtag high evading, hashtag counter hit launching mid has been seriously adjusted, and I'm a big fan of this. So it was -2, now it's -7 on block, so it fully gives up the bear's turn. It also no longer gives follow-ups on normal hit, or I believe no combo on counter hit based on the wording in the patch. Prevent follow-up attacks on normal hit or on counter hit. So again, there will be channels that go through these nerfs in detail visually, but these are the changes. Good stuff. Big step in the right direction, so big fan of that. Panda still gets +12. Thank you, 8pacho8. So Panda will still get the follow-up, but on whiff, I assume the recovery is better. So still a crazy move. We'll probably still see more Panda than Kuma just because of that throw, in my opinion. Lars. During heat, heat smash down. Here's a big change for Lars. Lars' stomp, when he was in heat, used to still summon the lightning, which gave a guaranteed punish mix-up. Right? So just because you block the stomp, he used to be able to still mix you up with either a power crush or a different move, depending if you were trying to answer the power crush or not. So now he doesn't summon the lightning. You can punish the stomp in heat the same way you would punish the stomp outside of heat. Down forward 3-3 has less pushback on block now, and Sen 1+2 gets nerfed. This is the new armor move. So in Season 2, they changed his armor move from Silent Entry, from the high kick, to the mid that he does the tornado with, right? The combo extender. It's now -14, and the opponent's behavior is changed on hit and on down hit. So nerfs to that move. Law untouched outside of the heat smash chip damage. He still has his infinite money glitch where his nunchucks regen a ton of heat. And this is a key fact. I think that if you watch Mangja, full respect to the player, he's a legend from multiple Tekkens. But during Evo Japan, he never spammed the Law nunchuck moves. People have still not optimized their gameplay for Season 2. So I think the development team has to move relatively quickly. Otherwise, we will start to see these issues really creep up. Pro players will adapt. It just takes time because Tekken instincts take a while to reprogram. So I hope the development team recognizes how strong the heat regeneration is. Lee. All right, remain calm, please. The only adjustment to Lee is that his heat smash or heat burst tracking is down. I was actually responding to so much chat. I didn't type this down. Tracking reduced. Okay, this is a universal change. It's not a targeted Lee nerf. Remain calm. Development team has addressed on Twitter that they will address the Lee problems. I'm assuming that's a June patch thing. So I'm sorry. There are not big Lee fixes here. You have my condolences. Leo. Great changes for Leo coming forward. Heat burst, tracking down, heat smash, chip down, the universal stuff. Back one, it was made from -12 to -9 in the last patch. And as a consequence of that, it lost the ability to be sidestepped. They have restored the old frame data so that you can sidestep the second hit of back 1-4. Characters that couldn't step it before, I believe, were Lily, Elisa, and Zafina. They still cannot step it. We did test that. So this is just a reverting the state back to Season 1, basically, which we're a big fan of. Leo's running 3 into box stance, where you hold down, is no longer +10, but is +6. Again, I don't know how I got to double digits in the first place, but this is good. And then the new low, the Australian breakdance, Bach 3+4, is now -13 instead of -12, and is +4 instead of +2. This move's existence in that kind of stance is still very egregious, but the adjustment of the risk reward is a step in the right direction, a tiny one. But that move existing is insane. Leroy, heat burst tracking down, heat smash chip down. Sidestep 3+4 is no longer +5, it's +3. Again, tiny step in the right direction. And then there was a bug where he could parry 9 frames faster than intended. I think probably because he was going into Hermit stance 9 frames faster than intended. So, oh yeah, it's the Hermit stance low parry, I believe. So they fixed that bug. That's cool. Lydia, largely untouched outside of damage, I believe. So there's the heat smash chip down. The heat smash charge damage is down. The hold down charge damage is down to level 2. Heaven and Earth 1 now is 60% scaling instead of 80% on grounded hit. And then, or downed hit, I should say. And then the forward 4-3, the like hit throw, has damage reduction across the board. So big nerfs to Lydia's damage. Lily, do not be alarmed when it says tracking improved. This is only when her heat smash connects on the first hit. It actually has less tracking when the first hit whiffs. So it's a consistency change. Chip damage is down, and then hitbox is adjusted. Heat burst, tracking is down. This is a good change, even though it's my character. And then tons of combo damage down. It's not like drastic numbers, but combo damage down on most of her key moves, I believe. So this is, you know, my opinions about combo damage. I believe character nerfs are good, but combo damage is like the lowest priority right now. Nina, heat burst is reduced tracking, and then chip damage down on heat smash. Okay, so Nina largely untouched. Paul, I did not write down Paul, did I? Or did I miss it? I missed Paul. Well, I didn't write down the notes for Paul. They reduced the input window for his deep dive 1-2 and down forward 2-1 and down forward 2-3, so you have less time to delay the string. Deep dive 4 is no longer +6, it's +3. That's a good change. And then there's some frame data fixes for Paul. Oh, I put Paul here on accident. So my pages were just out of order. My fault. Yeah, Paul is right here. Cool. Raven. Raven changes. These are nice. These are nice changes. Heat burst tracking down. Heat smash chip down. QC of 1+2 is no longer +5. It's +2. And while standing 3+4 is back to -12 instead of -9. It was a safe homing heat dash launching mid out of the mix-up back turn stance. Good adjustment. Why was it safe in the first place? I don't know. Reina. Chip damage on the heat, it smashes down. Damage is down on a bunch of these moves. CD3, Unsoku 4, and War God Kick from the preset stance. Down forward 3, right? And then now she can do her command duck, the while standing 1+4 from crouch, which I think the move list said you always could do, but you couldn't actually do. Sorry, correcting myself. Raven's while standing 3+4 is obviously not a back turn. It's out of while standing. So he had the mix up hell sweep versus the homing mid. This being unsafe is very reasonable. Thank you for the correction. Shaheen. Heat smash chip down, and then sidestep 1+2 is +3 now instead of +5. There's also a hitbox change there. Again, reduction of plus frames we're a big fan of. It should probably be more. The fact that these moves are plus in general is pretty rough, if you ask me. Steve, great nerfs here for Steve. I'm a big fan of this. Heat smash chip damage down. 5 Fox Fury is no longer +11 to flicker, but is +3. Amazing. It's no longer +4 on regular block. It is now -4 on regular block. So a very, very positive change here. The fact it was +11 was insane. It was insane. And then they addressed this unintended bug where 112 was 0 on hit. It's now back to +4 on hit. And it was -11 on block. This was apparently an unintended problem. Lionheart 2 is now less likely to hit people who are behind him. Victor, largely untouched. Just the heat burst tracking and the heat smash chip. I think Victor has some of the most ignorant design in Season 2. It's not overpowered, but it really is hit into guess, into hit into guess, into hit into guess, right? So something's got to be done about Victor, not from a balance standpoint, but just from how weird he is to fight in an unfun, uninteractive way. It's just both players are going to start flipping the coin as soon as he hits you once. Xiaoyu, largely untouched, just the heat smash chip and the heat burst tracking. Yeah. Yoshimitsu Heat Burst tracking down, Zafina Heat Smash chip damage down, and then Anathema back 1+2 on hit or block. The input window has been shortened by 1 frame. Apparently there was some unintended behavior there. And that's it. That's the patch. As you can see, it's very, very tiny. People have asked me if I'll be competing again. The conclusion I've arrived at is that I am addicted to Tekken. There is simply no game that is scratching the Tekken itch the way I like it. It's clear they're making steps in the right direction. So expect to see some more content, maybe some more tutorials once the patch stabilizes some more. Again, there's so many changes happening right now. It's hard to want to make any evergreen content on characters or things like that. So guides will be a bit slower, but I think as Evo Japan showed us, there are circumstances and particular matchups and matches and players where you can see that there's some cool Tekken going on, especially when Nii is playing, right? Brian is egregiously strong right now, but the way Nii is piloting the character still feels very cool. So we'll slowly get back to doing more of that content. I still want to cover some Street Fighter and analysis and some classic Tekken stuff. In general, I'd say the vibes are a bit better. We're moving slower than I personally would like, but steps in the correct direction are what are necessary right now. So we'll keep hanging on to that. If you've been enjoying my content, thank you so much for sticking around. Please leave a like and a comment if you did. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.